Paula had always believed that love, when true, had the ability to grow alongside life, like a tree that strengthens with time, facing winds, storms, and difficult seasons. She believed in the kind of relationship that requires care, honesty, and partnership. And for a long time, she thought she had found that beside Fabio in the first months of their relationship, he seemed like everything she had ever wanted. Attentive, funny, affectionate, the kind of man who made the future feel already written. He hugged her tightly, held her hand as if that alone could protect her from the world, and said he wanted to build a life together in the most beautiful way possible, Paula believed. And she believed with the kind of intensity that only someone who gives their whole heart is capable of. But love, when not mutual, begins to crumble in silence. Fabio had an almost artistic ability to turn flaws into charm, irresponsibility into spontaneity, lack of maturity into a free spirit, and for a long time, she tried to convince herself that it was just a phase, that he would grow up, that everything would get better with time. But time, instead of shaping Fabio, simply revealed what had always been there. A man who only knew how to love while it was easy. Paula had always been heart. Fabio had always been ego. And when the ego realizes it is not the center of the universe, it begins searching for new stages, new spotlights, new audiences willing to applaud empty vanities. That was how everything began to fall apart. The cold replies, the poorly told excuses, the outings that didn't make sense, and that deep feeling that something was wrong, though she couldn't name it. Betrayal doesn't begin with the forbidden kiss. It begins long before, when someone stops seeing you. And Fabio had stopped. For months, Paula fought alone for the relationship. She tried to talk, to understand, to get closer, to rescue what they had, but every attempt was met with impatience, sarcasm, or indifference. He treated her as someone exaggerated, too emotional, dramatic. "You create problems where there are none," he said whenever she tried to talk about what she felt. But problems don't need to be created when someone begins disappearing right before your eyes. Then, on a warm, rainy night, when Paula hoped for a shred of affection, Fabio appeared with a suitcase in hand, and a gaze that had been far from her for a long time. "Paula, I need to be honest. This isn't working anymore," he said, as if apologizing for being late, not destroying a relationship. She tried to breathe, to understand what was happening, to find any trace of truth in his eyes. "You're leaving me? Just like that?" "Not just like that. This has been bad for a while. You know that." He sighed as if tired of his own life. I met someone. It's nothing serious, just someone who understands me better, who doesn't pressure me so much." The sentence hit Paula like a blunt blow. She stood there, frozen, watching the man she loved explain that he was leaving to live something new, as if life were a shelf of novelties and she were just the item that had lost its shine. "You're good, Paula. Too good. But I think we're different, and I need to follow my path." He said "too good" as if he meant not enough, and then, without looking into her eyes, he slung the suitcase over his shoulder and left. The door slammed, echoing through the living room, echoing inside her, echoing through the whole night. Paula felt as if her entire world had collapsed, and maybe it had. But sometimes, collapsing is the only way to rebuild. In the days that followed, she lived the kind of silent grief only someone who has been left understands. The kind that has no date, no proper goodbye, no sufficient explanation. The grief of why wasn't I enough? Of what did she have that I didn't? Of what did I do wrong? The nights were long, the days were heavy, and her heart felt impossible to mend. But Paula had a strength she didn't yet know. And it was precisely when she hit rock bottom emotionally that something inside her awakened. A kind of attention, clarity, instinct. Life sometimes has to break to teach. She started small. Very small, a little freelance job here, another there. Work that didn't pay much but gave experience. Hours and hours studying, watching videos, taking courses, reading everything she could find about business. Marketing, sales, digital creation, management, investments. The deeper she dove into that new world, the more she realized there was something inside her waiting to bloom, something Fabio never saw. The intelligence born from pain, the vision born from necessity, and the courage born when there's nothing left to lose. Paula worked through the nights, slept on the couch with her laptop on her lap, made mistakes, succeeded, made mistakes again, got up again, and little by little, without noticing, she was building a completely new path. When her first project went viral, she thought it was luck. When the second succeeded, she realized it wasn't. And when the third started to generate real profit, Paula understood she had found her place in the world. It was as if life had waited for her to finally let go of the wrong hand before opening all the right doors. Meanwhile, Fabio, well, he was living the exact life he always chose. Shallow, unstable, impulsive. The other woman didn't last 3 months. The freedom he sought turned into boredom, and his desire for novelty turned into loneliness. He assumed Paula would still be there waiting. She always had been. But he had no idea what he was about to discover. The version of Paula he left behind was only the rough draft of the woman she would become. And when he finally reappeared, regretful, broken, confused, Paula was already too far ahead to look back. But he tried. And he tried in the most pathetic way possible. Cheap flowers, rehearsed speeches, theatrical regret that anyone with dignity would be embarrassed to perform. He had no idea that on that exact same day, Paula was about to sign the biggest contract of her life, the one that would change everything. He didn't know yet, but he was about to hear the sentence that would mark his life forever. Too late for you. That morning, Paula woke up with the kind of clarity and quiet confidence that only appears when life is about to shift again, not through tragedy, but through triumph. She dressed impeccably, not out of vanity, but out of respect for everything she had built. Smooth hair, a light blazer, soft makeup, that natural elegance of a woman who reconstructed herself piece by piece. Before leaving, she looked at herself in the mirror. She was not the same Paula from 2 years ago. Not the Paula who cried over someone who didn't know how to love. Not the Paula who shrank herself to fit into a space that was never hers. She was someone else. Whole, focused, serene, strong. A woman who had visited rock bottom and paradoxically found the blueprint for her own rise there. The contract she would sign that day wasn't just money. It was identity. It was consequence. It was rebirth. It was proof that no one destroys someone who decides to rebuild themselves. When she arrived at the partner company, everyone was already waiting for her. The meeting room was wide and modern, all glass walls and sunlight, the kind of place she once dreamed of working in. "Paula, we're glad you're here. We're excited to finalize everything," said Marcelo, the executive director. Elegant, polite, genuinely respectful. She smiled calmly. "So am I. Let's make history together." And it was true. That deal marked the beginning of an expansion she never imagined when she was drowning in sadness, fighting to pay bills, and wiping away tears that nobody knew she cried. Paula was about to become officially a millionaire, but while she signed page after page, on the other side of the city, a man held a wilted flower in a trembling hand, Fabio. After his freedom faded, after the other woman left, after the parties became hollow, after the novelty dissolved into emptiness, after he realized Paula had been the stability in his former life, something inside him began to ache. Real regret, the kind that claws at the soul, arrived late, too late. One night, unable to sleep on the cheap couch he now owned, he scrolled through old messages. He reread everything. Her caring texts, her worried voice notes, her long paragraphs trying to save something he kept breaking. He saw, maybe for the first time, the number of times she tried to hold him up while he pulled her down. And that was when the remorse anchored itself deeply. He cried, hard, not because he had loved deeply, but because he had been a fool. In the middle of the night, he decided he needed to see her. He bought flowers from a 24-hour supermarket. He rehearsed apologies. He rehearsed speeches. He rehearsed tears. He rehearsed everything, except dignity. He had no idea the reenactment would be worse than a nightmare. The entrance of the company where Paula now worked was stunning. Marble floors, glass doors, modern decor, security at the front. It was a place he never imagined Paula would belong to, because he never believed she could go that far. He was wrong. When he tried to enter, the security guard stopped him. "Good morning, sir. Do you have an appointment?" "Well, yes. I mean, sort of. I need to speak to Paula. She works here. It's urgent." The guard checked the system. "Miss Paula is in a meeting. She cannot be interrupted. It's important. Really important." "Sir, she specifically requested not to be disturbed." Fabio swallowed hard. "I'll wait." And he waited. Half an hour. 1 hour. 2. Almost 3. By the time Paula stepped out of the elevator, the flowers were nearly dead. She walked with confidence, phone in one hand, documents in the other, flanked by 2 executives. She looked powerful, complete, untouchable. She didn't see him at first, too focused on her purpose, but he froze when he saw her. The Paula he left had been gentle, insecure, eager to please. The Paula he saw now was everything he never believed she could become. "Paula," he called, voice trembling. She turned, and that single moment shattered him, because there was no hate in her eyes. No anger, no sadness, there was nothing, and that nothing hurt more than any revenge. "Fabio," she asked neutrally, "what are you doing here?" He stepped closer, stumbling over his own emotions. I needed to talk to you. I messed up. Paula, please." She raised a hand, stopping him. "Not here. Not now." The two executives quietly stepped away, giving them space. He extended the flowers. "They're for you." She looked at the wilted bouquet and smiled politely, the kind of smile you give a stranger. "Thank you, but no." Her tone was calm, almost surgical. "Paula, please give me 5 minutes, just 5. I just need you to hear me." She checked her watch. "You have 2 minutes. Then I have another meeting. 2 minutes." The same woman who once begged for crumbs from him now didn't even have time to waste on him. "Paula," his voice cracked. "I messed everything up. I hurt you. I know that. I've been thinking about us, about everything. You were the best thing in my life. I was blind. I was stupid. I want to try again. I miss you. I miss what we had. Please, give me a second chance." She let the silence do the work. Then, with serene confidence, she answered Fabio, "I genuinely hope you've changed, but..." She took a step back, widening the space between them. "You arrived far too late." His eyes welled with tears. "What do you mean, late?" She straightened the blazer, lifted her chin, and delivered the sentence that would haunt him forever. "I'm busy, Fabio, very busy, and not with you. I'm busy being a millionaire, and for you, it's too late." Then she turned her back to him, not in arrogance, but in evolution. And as she walked away, Fabio finally understood. Some losses are not punishment, they are consequence. He didn't lose Paula that day. He lost her 2 years earlier, when he underestimated her. But Paula's life was just beginning. She returned to the meeting room, sat down, opened her laptop, and continued her presentation as if nothing had happened. Marcelo whispered, "Everything okay?" She smiled lightly. "Everything is perfect." And it truly was. That afternoon the contract was signed. It was official. Paula was a millionaire. But more importantly, she had become the owner of herself, the only wealth no one can take away. That night felt different. The city lights glowed softly through Paula's apartment windows, reflecting an atmosphere of quiet celebration. She walked in, took off her shoes, and let the silence welcome her like an old friend. Her apartment, modern, bright, filled with plants she had learned not to kill, was more than a home. It was a declaration, a reminder of everything she built alone. She left her bag on the sofa and went to the office corner. A sleek desk, a golden lamp, and a whiteboard filled with goals, deadlines, and dreams. At the top of the board, main goal, 5 international contracts by the end of the year. She picked up the marker, removed the cap, and with a confident stroke, checked the first contract off the list. A soft smile rose on her lips. This was the moment she had imagined during the nights she cried quietly. During the days she worked until dawn. During the months she doubted herself. She turned on soft music, walked to the balcony, and leaned against the railing. The night breeze brushed her skin gently. She whispered to herself, "I did it." The words came out fragile at first. Then they grew. Then they strengthened. And soon she was laughing quietly. Not from amusement, but from relief. The kind of relief that only arrives after surviving what was meant to destroy you. She stayed there for a long moment, letting the city hum under her feet, letting the wind carry away all the remnants of who she once had to be. The next morning, Paula woke up early, brewed her strongest coffee, and stepped out onto the balcony again. The city below was waking slowly, the sunlight painting everything gold. She was calm. She was centered. She was free. As she took the first sip, her phone buzzed. A new message from Marcelo. "Congratulations again on yesterday. The sector's buzzing with your name. We have a lot of work coming, but also big opportunities ahead." She smiled, typed back, "Thank you, Marcelo. I'm ready for all of it." Another notification appeared. Her smile faded. "Fabio, can we talk again? I really need to see you. I'm not doing well. Please, Paula. I just want a chance to fix things." She didn't sigh out of sadness, but out of exhaustion. It was incredible how some people only learn someone's value after losing access to it. She put the phone down, kept drinking her coffee, kept watching the morning light. After a few minutes, she picked up the phone and typed a simple, clean, decisive message. "Fabio, there's nothing left to fix. I hope you find peace. But my life is somewhere else now," and she sent it. No hesitation, no trembling hand, no second thoughts. Because when the right woman finally finds herself, the wrong man loses all power. The week unfolded in a rhythm Paula had only dreamed of. Meetings, partnerships, calls from investors, invitations to speak at events, interviews. Every day seemed like a new step upward, not forced, not desperate, not painful, but natural. She felt aligned with her own destiny. Sometimes her mind revisited the moment she saw Fabio again, the wilted flowers, the trembling hands, the regret. But there was no guilt, no longing, no confusion, only the clarity that what she had once begged for no longer mattered. She had outgrown him, completely, irrevocably. Midweek, something unexpected happened. A prestigious innovation council sent her an invitation for a private luncheon with top executives and investors. Marcelo sent her the message with a rocket emoji. Paula, this is huge. You're officially playing with the big names now. She laughed aloud in her apartment. She chose a refined, soft-colored dress and arrived at the restaurant, a luxurious place with marble floors and walls covered in soft light. And when she walked into the private room, there he was, Raphael. Elegant, calm, carrying an energy that didn't try to impress, it simply existed. He stood up when he saw her.
Hello.
He said, smiling gently. I was hoping you'd be here. She felt an unexpected warmth flutter in her chest. Good to see you again, she replied. They sat side by side. And once again, Raphael listened. He asked genuine questions. He spoke with wisdom and ease. He didn't diminish her brilliance. He highlighted it. At one point, an influential older executive turned to her and said, Paula, you have a rare vision. Not just technical, human. You're not just doing business. You're changing lives. Paula felt her throat tighten with emotion. That sentence struck her deeper than anyone could understand, because she had spent years believing she was invisible. And now strangers admired her, not because of love, not because of beauty, not because of need, because of who she became. After lunch, Raphael walked with her to the exit, he said, hands in pockets, smile subtle. You shine brighter than all of us in there. She laughed softly. You're exaggerating. No, he shook his head. I'm not. It's inspiring. She felt her heart warm, but not in the chaotic way it once had with Fabio. This warmth was steady, gentle, safe. Thank you, she said quietly. You have no idea how much it means to hear that. I might, he replied, in some ways. I recognize that strength and the pain that created it. Paula held his gaze. It was the first time she felt something open inside her, not because she needed to fill a void, but because she no longer had one. Possibility. That was the word. Something was beginning. Not the dramatic fire of the past, but a light the past could never contain. Meanwhile, across town, Fabio's life continued unraveling. His job was unstable, bills piled up. The apartment was silent and suffocating. Friends vanished. Sleep wouldn't come. He spent hours staring at Paula's old photos, replaying memories he had ignored when they were real. He tried writing to her again, deleted the messages, wrote again, deleted again. He knew why. In his heart he understood. Even if she answered, even if she saw him, she was gone. Not moved on, evolved beyond him. And evolution is irreversible, he cried again. Not out of love, but out of regret. Regret is the bill we pay for choices made too late. 2 days later, Paula received the official agenda for the international conference. Main speaker, jury panelist, live interview with 2 foreign network, VIP networking dinner. She stared at the screen in disbelief. This wasn't just big, it was monumental. She had risen so high that her old life looked microscopic. On Sunday morning, Paula chose a white, minimalistic dress for the event, powerful without being flashy, elegant without trying. When she tried it on, the reflection staring back at her wasn't just beautiful, she was complete, a survivor, a creator, a woman who had turned ruins into empire. The store attendant's eyes widened. You look like a CEO ready to change the world. Paula smiled softly. Maybe I am. When she returned home, the receptionist handed her an envelope. Her stomach tightened. The handwriting on the front was familiar. It was from Fabio. She opened it slowly. The letter was long, shaky handwriting, smudged words, an apology that read like a confession spilled on paper. He poured out guilt, regret, fear, and longing. Paula read it all. Every line, every plea. Then she folded the letter, put it in a drawer, and never responded. Forgiveness does not require reunion. Understanding does not require reopening doors. And closure is often a one-way act. That night, Paula sat on her balcony again. The city glowed. Wind brushed her hair. She whispered into the night, "I'm not going back." And the wind responded with silence, the good kind. Meanwhile, Raphael had slowly become someone present in her days. Walks, cafes, long talks, comfortable silences. They were building something without rush, something that felt like truth. Paula realized something beautiful. The love she deserved didn't demand urgency. It offered presence. The night before the international event, Paula reviewed her slides. Her dress hung on the chair. Her heart beat calmly. She looked at her reflection once more. The woman she saw wasn't a survivor. She was a victor. The past wasn't a wound anymore. It was a story she would tell the world tomorrow. She smiled to herself and whispered, "You won." And she had, because she had rebuilt everything with the only person who never abandoned her, herself. The morning of the international event arrived with a sky so clear it looked almost unreal. A soft, perfect blue, the kind that feels like a divine sign. Paula woke up before the alarm. She didn't feel nervous. She felt ready. She brewed her coffee, opened the windows, and let the sunlight wash over her face. The city buzzed quietly below, unaware that her life and the lives she would touch were about to shift again. She glanced at the white dress hanging perfectly pressed on the chair. It looked like armor made of light. She got ready with care, sleek hair, subtle makeup, elegant jewelry, steady hands. Every movement felt ceremonial, like she was honoring the journey that had brought her here. Before leaving, she stood in front of the mirror. She didn't see the woman who had been abandoned. She didn't see heartbreak. She didn't see wounds. She saw presence. She saw dignity. She saw power. She whispered to her reflection, "It was always you," and smiled. The convention center was enormous, flags from multiple countries, media crews everywhere, black cars pulling up, people in suits and dresses of every style. It felt like stepping into another world, a world she now belonged to. Marcelo greeted her at the entrance, eyes shining. "Paula, you look perfect. Thank you." "No, I mean it. You deserve every second of this." She nodded, emotion hitting her chest with quiet force. "I know." And this time she truly meant it. Minutes before her presentation, while she waited backstage, Paula's phone buzzed. A message from Raphael. "I'm rooting for you from here, and I'm absolutely sure you're going to inspire the world today." Her lips curved into a soft smile. "Thank you, Raphael." Another vibration. Her breath tightened. "Fabio, I saw on TV that you'll be at the conference today. I'm proud of you. I wish I could see you, even from far away. Good luck, Paula. I miss you every day." She read the message slowly. No anger, no sadness, no nostalgia, just closure. She blocked the number gently, peacefully, because some stories only truly end when you close the last door yourself. They called her name, the doors opened, the lights turned, and Paula stepped onto the stage. Hundreds of people filled the auditorium, entrepreneurs, students, CEOs, investors, journalists. Phones lifted, eyes widened, cameras flashed, and then silence. The good kind, the powerful kind. She walked to the center of the stage, heels clicking with steady confidence. She took a breath and began. 2 years ago, she said, her voice calm and resonant, "I lost everything." Silence thickened. My relationship, my emotional stability, my financial safety, my self-worth. I was alone, shattered, directionless. And for months, I thought that was the end. Every face in the room was locked on her. But sometimes, the end is just life removing us from a place we were never meant to stay. A murmur of recognition rippled through the audience. When I had nothing left, I realized I still had myself, and that was enough. She spoke about rebuilding from zero, about studying until dawn, about turning pain into strategy, loneliness into focus, abandonment into independence. What looked like destruction became construction. What looked like punishment became opportunity. What looked like loss became liberation. People leaned forward in their seats. Today I understand something profound. No one can take away what is meant for you. No one can stop your destiny. No one can dim the light of someone born to shine. They can delay you. They can hurt you, but destroy you? Never. A shiver went through the room, because when a woman decides to rise, the entire world must step aside. The audience erupted into applause. Thunderous, emotional, long. Paula waited, breathing deeply, her eyes shining. Then she concluded with the line that would go viral all over social media. The greatest turning point of my life began when I understood that I didn't need to prove anything to anyone but myself, and once I saw myself with dignity, no one ever treated me as less again. The applause this time was overwhelming. People stood. They clapped with their whole bodies. Some wiped tears. Others filmed. Others simply absorbed the moment. Paula bowed her head gently and smiled. After the presentation, journalists swarmed her. "Paula, you're an inspiration. Do you plan to write a book? How does it feel to be a symbol of resilience? What's your next goal?" She answered with calm humility. "I didn't win because I made money. I won because I found peace." A young woman approached her, voice trembling. "What advice would you give to someone going through what you went through?" Paula touched her arm softly. "Never go back to someone who didn't know how to stay," the reporter cried. Paula hugged her. In a small apartment across the city, Fabio sat in front of the TV. He watched everything, every word, every applause, every expression on Paula's face. His heart broke open. He realized in real time, with painful clarity, that he had thrown away the greatest blessing he ever had. He whispered through tears, "I lost her, with my own hands," and he had, forever. Outside the venue, Raphael was waiting behind a security barrier reserved for special guests. When he saw Paula coming down the steps, he didn't wave frantically or shout her name. He just watched her with quiet admiration. She walked toward him slowly. He opened his arms. She stepped into them, not out of necessity, but out of choice. "You were extraordinary," he murmured. Paula pulled back just enough to look him in the eyes. "I just told the truth." "Yes," he said softly, "but few people turn their truth into wings for others." Her heart softened. "Thank you for being here." "Paula," he said, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek, I'll always be here. Not as a promise, as a truth." That night, Paula walked into her apartment, took off her shoes, and placed her dress carefully over the chair. She went to the balcony. The city glittered below like a sea of stars. She closed her eyes, feeling the breeze graze her skin, filling her lungs with fresh air, the kind that only exists after a storm has passed. She whispered to herself, "I was reborn," and she had been. Not out of revenge, not out of anger, not out of proving anything. She had reborn because she chose herself, because she learned that the moment you stop expecting salvation from someone else, you become your own liberation. She looked at the sky, and with a serene, victorious smile whispered, "He didn't lose me. I found myself." And when a woman finds herself, she becomes impossible to lose. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to Stories We Tell, leave a like, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Your support helps us keep creating stories about love, forgiveness, and second chances, because stories that touch the heart deserve to be told and remembered. Thank you for being here.